The basic modification profiles for the JPEG engine are called picture modes, and they are on Camera menu, page 2. For most birds and wildlife, I set picture mode to number 3, Natural. This profile attempts to produce an image with the most natural shadow and highlight details and the most correct colors. I also set gradation in the natural profile, the bottom icon on the left, to auto, also called shadow adjust, which applies a bit of processing magic to further enhance the shadow details. I find that natural does a slightly better job with highlights under a wide variety of lighting conditions, but you also might want to try the Eye Enhance picture mode. If I had to contrast them, I would say that Eye Enhance works towards an image with the most impact, and Natural works toward an image that is more neutral in its presentation. Most images shot in Natural will require just a bit more post-processing than most images shot in Eye Enhance, but, according to my testing, Natural will preserve more detail in the highlights more often. If you use Eye Enhance, also set gradation to auto. This whole picture mode function is a bit strange in that pressing the center button on the 5-way control wheel while choosing the profile or setting gradation will boot you right back out of the menu system altogether without changing your settings. Highlight your picture mode choices by scrolling left and right with the 5-way control wheel, or use the front thumb wheel, and then the up and down and left and right arrows on the 5-way control to highlight choices on the left under picture mode, including gradation. And then, when all choices are highlighted, use the menu button to return to the main menu and lock in your settings. Once more, do not use the center button on the 5-way control. I assume this is a programming issue and might be fixed in future firmware. Picture modes give you a great deal of control over how your JPEGs are processed in the camera. These settings go a long way toward making RAW unnecessary. The 4 most useful settings are probably Eye Enhance, if you trust the camera to do the necessary for your images, Vivid, if you like the punched-up look for your work, Natural, if you want to control more in post-processing, and Muted, if you want an image that is as close to RAW as possible while remaining a JPEG. In other words, if you plan to do a lot of your own work in post-processing. Then, too, each of these picture modes can be adjusted for saturation, sharpness, and contrast using the controls along the left side of the setting page. If you like to tinker, it's possible to develop a setting that will do 90% of your post-processing right in the camera. You can even save those settings, based on one of the standard modes, to a custom mode of your own. I just use Natural with auto gradation, always the easy way for me. On the same menu page, page 2, I use Auto White Balance, as the OM-1 seems to do an excellent job with color temperature under a wide variety of lighting conditions. I prefer to set Keep Warm Color to On, so that when shooting in the golden hours, the hours just before and just after sunrise and sunset, the natural warm hue of the light is maintained. The OM-1 does have a tendency to favor shadow detail over highlight detail, even with these adjustments. I have experimented with modifying the metering settings and with the OM system's highlight shadow control. But in the end, I find that Natural works best under the widest range of conditions. I do pay attention to bright whites, whether bird feathers, fur, or simply highlights reflecting back full sun, and use the exposure compensation wheel, the one on the front of the camera, to reduce exposure by -0.7 or even -0.1 EV when I see a potential problem. Sometimes I still prefer the straight Natural picture mode version. For those who want to experiment with shadow highlight control, there's a video on that. Next, we will examine the modifications to the autofocus system that will lead to the most success with the OM-1 and birds and wildlife.